How you doing, bud?
Doing well. This is the big one, isn't it?
This is 99.
The great one.
This is the great one. um, so yeah, here we are. Really quick, we're gonna do an intro to the show, and then we're gonna bring our buddy Alex on. But first of all, we gotta talk some hoops.
Yeah, we
So
do.
this whole episode, for the trade deadline special, is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, as always, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, new and existing customers, well, the new customers, you sign up, you bet $5 and win $200 in free bets instantly. Plus, for a limited time, all new and existing customers can get a no sweat same game parlay every single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You go to the Sportsbook app today, you opt in, you place your same game parlay on any basketball game, and if it doesn't hit, you get your free bet right back. What's on the docket today?
So I am going to the Cavs and Pistons game.
You're right. Yep.
The Cavs are favored by 15.5.
Wow. I mean, that makes sense. It's Detroit.
The Pistons are bad. So who knows? You know what my recommendation would be? Would be to bet the Pistons to cover 15.5 because it is hard to cover a spread like that for the Cavs. You know, you have a little bit of an off night shooting or whatever. Like, you know, I think the Cavs are going to win, but
right.
You know, are they going to win by 16 or more? I don't know. Maybe they'll win by 13 tonight.
I mean, it's Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley.
Yeah, Darius Garland. Who knows? I get it. Who knows? Maybe one of them sits tonight. You never know. You never know.
But yeah, there's plenty of guys you can bet on with the Cavs for that. You could bet on, points for the Pistons if they come, which, I mean, it's basketball. They will.
Yeah.
But
over under tonight is 217.5.
Cool.
Which I think will probably hit the over.
We'll see. And I hope you have a lot of fun with it, man.
Of course I will.
Put some bets on it.
I already did.
Perfect. And you can too. Download the app now and sign up with code THPN. New customers can bet $5 on the NBA and get $200 in free bets instantly, only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, with code THPN. All the eligibility stuff, age restrictions, that's all down below. Thank you, guys.
You're listening to Jake Jackets. Gear up to fire the cannon and hit the ice with your hosts, Jay Ashdown and Jake Gehringer.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I hope you're doing well, big guy. It's been a while since we've seen you.
Yeah, yeah, since like before the draft, I think.
Yeah.
Last time I was on, or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's.
A lot of things were different for the Devils back then. A lot can change within a year.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. They just found a goalie.
Yeah.
Look what happened.
Yeah, exactly right.
Coach.
Welcome, Alex.
Yeah.
Chauvincy, back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Delayed response. That's how tired I am. Jesus. But yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking to another Alex Chauvincy.
Yeah, it's good to bring you back on, buddy. And we're excited for this. It's our big trade deadline special. And Jay, you said you had the first question?
Yes, I do. Okay. Because I think this is an important one, because obviously we're going to be covering trades and stuff like that. So we have the big fish to start off with, and this is part of the reason why we wanted to have you on. So the Devils this season are 40, 15, and 6. That's 86 points in 61 games. They're third in the National Hockey League in total in points. And then you go out and you get Timo Meier. My question to you is, does this mean Devils fans will stop thinking about Johnny Gaudreau, or is that not going to stop?
I had the feeling the first question was going to be along those lines, where like Jay would understand this. Like, is the season over? Like,
no, I was waiting on that too.
Yeah, I had a feeling the first question was going to be along those lines. My guess is no, even though that if they understood that, like, if they got Johnny Gaudreau, the Devils, that is, that they got him, they wouldn't have been able to get Timo Meyer now, and Timo Meyer is a better fit for what the Devils need than Johnny
Yeah.
Gaudreau. So I'm
I feel
sorry,
like
you're probably gonna have to deal with Devils fans moving
Yeah.
forward with
Well, I
Columbus
mean,
and Johnny Gaudreau, but you know,
dealing with
maybe
Devils fans is a whole other thing. Because I
Right.
mean, like, we love
But-
you, we love Neil. You know,
Yeah.
Neil still chirps at
yeah,
us for
yeah,
it.
my girlfriend's literally a
yeah.
Devils fan.
Yeah.
But like my thing
Oh,
is
yeah,
like,
right.
they maybe could have gotten Timo Meyer still, but they wouldn't have Jesper Bratt. So like
Yeah, they would have had to. They would have probably traded Jesper Bratt in the offseason if they had gotten Gaudreau, and then you'd have Gaudreau and Timo Meyer on the team now. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have told Devils fans that, because then they're just gonna keep going with the good Gaudreau Blue Jackets stuff.
I don't think
But
it matters.
yeah, I don't think it
Not
matters
anymore.
either.
I don't think it matters
Yeah.
anymore, at least, because like
Yeah,
let's actually okay. So we're gonna go through the like big fish. We'll give it a letter grade or whatever this time around, um, and like that kind of thing. And then if we've got time, we'll cover some of the smaller deals. Because
So
Yeah.
here's the crazy thing, right, guys? Because there's a tweet that went around that said that at this trade deadline, there were over 40 trades made within the last few days, within the last few weeks, rather. And the max over the last 2 weeks within the last decade was like 20.
I think
yeah, it
that
was a
number
pretty
went
crazy
up,
deadline.
like
Yeah,
since we
with
saw
the
that.
yeah, because there was a few smaller trades that came out after 3 p.m. yesterday, so it's definitely possible. And John Klingberg, obviously, but
Klinger, yeah.
yeah, it was a pretty crazy deadline.
This is
So
the
Yeah, it was a pretty
craziest
crazy.
deadline we've been a part of, like,
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
as fans.
Oh God, easily the biggest one of my entire life that I can remember. So let's
Yeah.
start off with the big one with the Devils. They trade a 2024 fourth round pick to the Vancouver Canucks for Curtis Lazar.
Yeah, that was the highlight of their trade deadline for sure.
All right, let me pull up the actual trade. Okay, so it is a 2023 first round pick, Fabian Zetterlund, Shakir Mukhamadullin, Nikita Ohochuk, I think that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah, that's
Hodiak,
it. Yeah.
I think. Or
Andreas
however.
Janssen, a 2024 second round pick, and then a seventh round pick, which is the big one. For Timo Meyer, a fifth round pick, Scott Harrington, who's now hilariously a Duck, and then three other prospects that don't really mean much of anything, I don't think.
Yeah, there was like a bunch of minor leaguers in the trade that was just
yeah,
like
and a lot of
yeah.
conditions to the picks too. Like, it's really funny.
Yeah, the Sharks had the Sharks were like at 50 contracts, so they had to move out players to make the deal work. It was pretty complicated.
I was watching the Dangle breakdown for it, and it was just like you look at the Sharks graphic for it, being a 13-piece deal, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. You don't see trades like that in the NHL like ever, even though it was just like minor leaguers that were like half of the players. But
Right.
yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Well, because I think a lot of that had to deal with specifically with Timo. Let's talk about Timo. So his being an RFA status and all of that kind of stuff, you really need to make the contract space work.
Yeah. So the Devils, like, cap space is not going to be an issue for them if they try to get him re-signed, which I don't see why they wouldn't try to re-sign him. But
Right.
as of now, they have I think around like $30 million in cap space. So, and they have to re-sign Jesper Bratt. Obviously, I think that's why Fitz is trying to get Bratt signed, re-signed right now. That way, he has an idea of what their cap looks like to negotiate with Meyer in the summer. But yeah, shouldn't be an issue trying to get a contract done with him. I guess that's like the only reason why you could say the trade wasn't an A plus for the Devils, because they just didn't get the contract extension when they acquired him. But I think they'll get that done. I mean, they're a good team, so like that alone should be able to sell itself. And then we'll see what he thinks of about living in the New York area and not really being like, you're in the New York media market, but the Devils play like even third fiddle to the New York Islanders in
A
the
little more
area.
chill.
So
Yeah. It's like,
yeah. So I think that'll help a little bit. But yeah, they shouldn't have a problem re-signing him, especially if they make a run in the playoffs, which they're capable with him in the lineup now.
I mean, they were capable well before this.
Yeah.
Look at what they're doing.
I agree with that. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. But in the playoffs, you need a little bit. I don't really care about adding size. It's not like if you can play hockey, you can play hockey. But it is a little different in the playoffs, and Meyer will give him a different element while also being like a top end scorer. Like if you're gonna add size to the lineup, you really want someone like Meyer who can score like 30, 40 goals, not just for the sake of adding size. So yeah, it's definitely a different dimension for this team, and we'll see. I mean, his first game could be tomorrow night against the Coyotes, which could be something because there's
Right.
no Jacob Chikrin on the Coyotes anymore, and they got
Yeah, we'll
spanked
get to
by the
check in a
Hurricanes
minute,
last
but
night.
like, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens, but I really like the fit for the Devils because I mean, I gotta think. Yeah, he was definitely the best player available at the trade deadline this year.
Easy
Yeah,
A.
no doubt about
Easy A on that trade.
Don't give up
Yeah.
Alexander Holtz, which I think was very surprising to a lot of people. It was also rumored that the Sharks were very interested in Dawson Mercer, who might just be
the Mercer part of this
player in
was
the league right now.
yeah.
Guy scoring a goal.
Yeah, they said on the Devils broadcast last night that if he scores in their next game, which the Coyotes, it's definitely possible, he would tie Wayne Gretzky's record for like most 9 games in a row for a goal. So I don't make these up. This is just the facts. Dawson Mercer is Wayne Gretzky.
Hey, how about that? Who knew Dawson was the next great one? I didn't know that.
Yeah, seriously.
But you lose like a couple of guys who are, basically like prospects. Like McConnell hadn't been signed yet, to my knowledge. But he wasn't with.
Not yet.
So,
well,
actually, no, I think they had signed him.
Oh, they did?
Well, Shakir as a prospect was always very I don't know. I loved the pick for the Devils specifically just because of his name, for one thing. Because just read it and you're like, that's a Devil.
Yeah, I mean, much to Ken Danikel's chagrin, he's probably actually pretty happy that they traded Mukhamadullin because now in the broadcast he doesn't have to try to pronounce Mukhamadullin or Nahachuk and Siegenthaler. So, but yeah, he is an interesting prospect.
Poor Danico.
Same with Hochuk. So you trade 2 defensemen who are younger guys. And I mean, it's not like it's really going to truly affect you. You got Luke Hughes and Simon Nemec coming on the way, on top of already having an incredible defensive core. So, the big loss, outside of the draft picks, I would say would be Fabian Zetterlund. Obviously, Timo Meier is a significant upgrade, but Zetterlund was having a good season. So, what does he provide for the Sharks?
Yeah, so he's like kind of the same style of player as Timo Meier. Obviously not the same caliber, but he's pretty physical player who's good 2 ways. He's got some scoring upside. He'd probably top out as like a middle 6 winger, but I could see him. He's going to get more of an opportunity with the Sharks to play than he did with the Devils. He was just kind of with New Jersey. He was just kind of bouncing around all over the lineup between like the second, third, fourth lines. It really depend where Lindy Ruff saw fit for him. But with the Sharks, he should get like top 6 minutes at least to end this season, and we'll see how he does with them. But he should be like a second, third line winger for them who can probably chip in like 20 goals, 35, 40 points a season. He's pretty good 2 ways too, so he's not a defensive liability. But that was a decent pickup for the Sharks. I thought they were going to get more than they did for him, but he's a decent player, and I guess they just kind of valued that. They wanted someone who could play right away. I think that's why they didn't really, I guess, go for someone like Alexander Holtz or obviously Nemitz and Luke Hughes are off limits. But it was a surprise that they kind of targeted him as the main piece.
Take Bonino's spot. I don't know.
Yeah, he's gonna. I mean, we'll see because I guess they're trying to move Kevin LeBanc. That was the rumor, so maybe that's an off-season move they make as well. Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. But he's going to get an opportunity with the Sharks to play top 6 minutes, and they may have sold off at the deadline, the Sharks, but they still got some good players there with Tomas Hertl and Logan Couture. So if he's on a line with one of them, it should be a good opportunity for him.
We'll be fine. So let's talk real quick about 2 trades that happened like right at the end of the deadline yesterday. Because these are kind of fun. Did JVR happen yesterday?
No.
I was gonna say I didn't know. I was at work like all the way through.
He didn't get
deadline.
traded at all, and everybody was killing the Flyers about it.
Man.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, they got dragged in the mud.
It's crazy. So the first one, the Wild acquire John Klingberg. Excuse me. The Wild get Klingberg from the Ducks in exchange for Andre Schuster, rights for Nikita Nestorenko, and a 4th-round pick in 2025. So
Yeah, so
the pick's the pick.
yeah, so
Fine.
yeah, I mean that was an interesting trade because I don't think the Ducks were planning on getting that little for Klingberg when they signed him in the offseason.
Yeah, exactly. That
yeah.
was very strange how that just kind of pittered out.
Yeah, I think they knew he wasn't going to re-sign with them, so they had to get whatever they could for him. And I was looking at, I had no idea who Nikita Nestorenko was before that trade, but he's been pretty good in college hockey. I looked him up in elite prospects,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe there's a little something there. But yeah, I mean, they just have to move him. He's been really bad this season. And I think part of that is just playing for a Ducks team that has like no system. I don't even know what they're trying to do there, to be honest. They're awful.
Dallas.
They
Dallas
might be,
Aikens.
yeah, they honestly might be the worst team in the. I think they are the worst team in the league. To be honest, they're really bad, and I think.
Thank you.
Makes me feel better.
Yeah, no, they're definitely worse than the Blue Jackets. I like the Ducks. I have no idea what they're doing there. It's just kind of like, you look at their offense and defensive numbers; they're all equally as bad. So I think that played a little bit of an impact in Klingberg having a really bad season because he wasn't that bad in Dallas last year.
No.
So I like the fit with Minnesota. Minnesota just for whatever reason they seem to get the most out of their defensemen, and I think
we were
he's
talking
not
about
gonna
that
have to play.
yesterday.
Yeah, he's not gonna have to play top 4 minutes there. He should be sheltered in like a third pair offensive role, which is the best way to get the most out of him at this point because his defensive game is terrible. So I like the fit. It was a good pickup. Yeah, he's never been a great defender, but he's really like fallen off a cliff defensively now. And I think, with him having to play third pair offensive minutes in Minnesota, it's a good fit because they really needed some more offense on the back end, and they should get that with him.
And he gets to join, the always underrated Spurgeon. We were just praising the hell out of Spurgeon yesterday. Dumba's still there, which is crazy to me. Like they have Jacob Middleton and so many other great defensive players there.
So I want to say this real quick about John Klingberg because I saw this from Jay Fresh yesterday and my jaw hit the floor. Do you know what I'm
I might have missed
to,
that.
Alex?
No, I don't think so. I might have missed it.
Okay. This is to put his defensive numbers in perspective.
Okay.
The Ducks gave up 42.2 shots and 4.2 expected goals per 60 minutes that he's on the ice at 5-on-5. The Oilers get 37.8 shots and 3.8 expected goals per 60 when McDavid is on the ice.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. But
I don't know. Okay. So is that to disparage John Klingberg or is that to just show you how much of an alien Connor McDavid is? Like
both.
Yeah.
Definitely both.
Both.
Yeah. The thing is, like, you look at every Ducks defenseman and all their numbers are just like absolutely god awful. Like Dmitry Kulikov was a pretty good defenseman before he joined the Ducks, and then like this year he had like a career worst season with the Ducks. So I'm just like thinking like, whatever the Ducks are doing there, and I don't know what's going on there. I don't think they do either. Whatever's going on there, I think is just kind of tanking their defenseman because Klingberg was not that bad before he joined the Ducks, and Kulikov was definitely not that bad either. And if you look at if you go on hockey stat cards,
Shattenkirk was great.
If you look at the worst game scores for the season, like worst average game score for the season, it's like 4 Ducks defensemen are in the bottom 5 league wide, and that includes forwards. So that's how bad they've been defensively this season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're a train wreck.
Another quick small one because I just thought this was kind of fun before we get into more big fish. We got our first trade of brothers ever in the league yesterday. The Flames get Troy Stetcher and Nick Ritchie from the Coyotes in exchange for Connor Mackey and Brett Ritchie.
Yeah, I saw that. I was kind of surprised it's the first trade for brothers because there was like 8 Sutters that played at one
I
point.
know.
And, like, there's none of the Stahl brothers have gotten traded for each other. I remember that, but there's always been like the hockey family kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised the Flames. I don't really know what's going on with them. I think the team might be a little bit sick of Daryl Sutter.
Oh, they're absolutely sick of Sutter. Like we've talked about Daryl Sutter enough with that.
They're also just
Yeah,
not
I
good at
definitely.
goaltending.
Yeah, Markstrom has been awful. Vladar has been up and down, and I don't really know why they don't give Dustin Wolf a chance because he's been tearing up the AHL for like 2
Yeah.
seasons at this point. So I don't.
Hubie's been a
I
lot
mean, I know
quieter
Sutter hates
than
players
we
that are
thought he
like
was
younger
going to
than
be.
25 years old, but yeah, I was surprised. I guess they just made like some cheap. That's just like a little bit of a depth upgrade for them. I think they kind of know that the odds are a little bit against them. I think they're 5 points back in the wild card in the Western Conference or something like that. So they're in a tough spot. But yeah, it was. I didn't know. I wouldn't have guessed that it was the first trade for brothers in NHL history.
It was pretty fun though. Like I was looking at memes earlier this morning, and everybody was posting Nick Ritchie on the moon, and apparently he hates that thing, and it's just like,
Oh, really?
yeah, he hates that meme so much.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know it either. It was just like, you know, the one I'm talking about, right? Though, with his face like just plastered on the moon.
Yeah. I understand why he hates that meme.
Yeah. A very underwhelming trade for the first brother trade. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
it would have been more. It would have been more exciting if like a Stahl brother got traded back in the day, like Jordan for Eric or something. But they played together for a long time. So.
Yeah, that's probably that's why trade like Eric for Mark or something, because Mark never really played with both of them at the same time.
Are they together in? Yeah, are they Mark and Eric are together in Florida?
Mark and Eric are both.
It's the first time that Mark has ever played with a brother. Is this year?
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy considering how long they've been in the league.
Yeah.
It was always the Jordan and Eric show, and then Mark was just kind of there.
And then poor Jared never even made the NHL. I don't think.
Poor guy.
Hey, he had a cup of coffee.
Oh, did he really?
He did. He played some NHL games. I think the number is in single digits, but he played.
Yeah, it's got to be minimal for sure.
It's got to be like 4 to 6 or something.
Yeah.
But who knows?
I'm gonna look it up while you guys talk about the next topic.
Okay. Well, the next topic, I actually do want to get into a big fish. I'm trying to think how far back I want to go with this, because everything happened on Wednesday, right? I was trying to scroll Twitter. I was trying to do things outside, preparing for things for the show that we ended up shooting on Thursday, and everything was happening. I got a call from my season ticket rep, trying to ask about pricings, and I was like, dude, there's so much going on right now. I can't even think about packages right now.
Yeah, Jonathan Quick was a Blue Jacket for 24 hours.
We talked about that the other day. It was
some respect on his name.
I actually saw a dude wearing a Quick sweater. Yeah. Did you see that?
I saw that. Yeah, someone sent it to me last night, and I sent it to Jay.
2. The answer was 2.
He played 2 games. That's it.
Yeah. Forget about a cup of coffee in the NHL. He ate half a coffee bean.
That's a sip of water.
Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah. Seriously, poor Jared.
I'm trying to think how I want to do this, because Patrick Kane's a New York Ranger, guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
that was the thing that happened.
Oh yeah.
Let's
about that one.
Let's start with probably the first move that the Rangers made to do this. So they got Vlad Tarasenko first.
And we talked about that a while ago, but it is important to reference it because it kind of led to Patrick Kane was pissed off that he didn't get traded to the Rangers. It kind of came out of nowhere. So he thought oh, I guess I'm not going to the Rangers now.
Right.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Sorry. It was just him wanting to go to two particular places. It was either New York or Toronto because he still wanted a big market.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy that because you don't really see like a player kind of just like spill it like that, which it was nice to see. Like we always get on NHL players for being boring, and then like Patrick
Cut and
Kane
dry
says
and
what
following a script. And yeah.
yeah, like get pucks deep and blah blah blah. And then
How
Patrick
many
Kane says
times
what
have, Jay, have we referenced that? How many times have we just been like, you gotta just mumbled our way through it?
I mean, I've always said the NHL needs more players like Eric Bledsoe coming out with "I don't want to be here" tweet a couple years back, if you remember that. Like, I want more players to do stuff like that. Like the NBA is so unnecessarily dramatic, and we just have none of that in the league.
That's kind of what Patrick Kane did, sort of,
Yeah.
right? He's like, I don't want to be here. I want to be in New York. And he kind of like forced his way to Manhattan, and caused the Rangers to like play. They've been playing man down for like a week. I saw just before we hopped on to do this episode, they're going to be playing like Ryan Lindgren's not in today and Tyler Mott's not in, so I think they're playing with like either 12-5 or 11-5 against the Bruins. So good luck.
So the thing about Lindgren was like cap shenanigans, and the thing about
he's
Mott,
hurt too.
Well, yeah, but then like the thing about Mott was him taking a high hit from Austin Watson that had head contact. That
I was watching. Yeah,
I saw
I was
the
watching
hit
that game
recently.
live, and I saw it happen. Yeah, I saw it happen live. I was like, "Oh, this is bad." I was kind of surprised he didn't get suspended, but no, it's
My
I guess the
friend
way the
Kat
league
sent it
goes
to
with
me,
this
and it was
sometimes.
just like I was looking at it, and then I saw that they weren't gonna do anything about it, and I was just like, "Yep, that's the league in a nutshell." All
We're
right.
forgetting the most important thing here. The reason the Rangers are in this position is because Keandre Miller hawked a loogie for Dottie.
That's right. Yeah, it was like they said it was an accident, but I mean, I was watching it
We
live.
said it was.
I thought it was an accident.
Yeah.
I did. I really did. Because like our issue, and we had this discussion the other day, was they suspended him for the same amount that Garnet Hathaway got suspended. And I was like, there's a significant difference between the two. Garnet Hathaway freaking like wound up with it. Like you could hear the like when he was about ready to spit on him. Like
he weaponized that. Like
whereas I
yeah,
don't know, it looked like a very standard spit on the ice that you see a million times a game from a hockey player from Keandre Miller, and it just happened to hit him in the chest. Like my thing is like if he intentionally did it, it was just a bad spit. He should that's what the suspension should be.
That's true. If you're gonna do it intentionally, get him in the face, right?
Yeah,
or like something like make him feel it.
Money's worth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. So yeah, it's kind of crazy that they're in this situation all because one, right, Miller hawked the loogie at Drew Doughty accidentally, and then he's suspended, and then Kane forced his way to New York, so they had to do these cap shenanigans, which they're kind of still trying to. I think this is the last game they have to do that, but yeah, I mean, there's
he made his debut already, so
yeah, against Ottawa, didn't go so well, but like it's the first game, so who really cares?
So here's
but it'll be interesting.
The fun thing, right? So like I would give for the Rangers, I'm absolutely giving them an A+ on this because you get Vlad Tarasenko and Patrick Kane. You get them both.
Yeah.
Like seriously, your first line, you're running Kreider, Zibanejad, and Tarasenko. And then your second line, you're reuniting Panarin with Kane.
Yeah, probably with Trocheck, right?
With Trocheck,
yeah. They had them with Trocheck, yeah.
And it's like, it's a huge 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I give them a B+ just because both Tarasenko and Kane are absolutely awful. Well, Tarasenko's not as bad defensively, but Kane's
rough.
Yeah,
it's John
good
Klingberg
luck
levels
getting
of
him
defense.
Max Domi, John Klingberg levels of defense. Like, good luck getting Kane to asking him to play defense. And the Rangers are not a great defensive team to begin with, so I'm just kind of interested to see how having Tarasenko and Kane is going to impact their their team defensive game.
They're going to outscore their problems. That's not going to be an issue. Plus, you have Igor back there, and it's like,
yeah, I mean, I think they will outscore their problems as well, especially now in the power play that you're adding Tarasenko and Kane. But Shesterkin has not, like, he's been fine this season. He's been more than fine, but he hasn't been like godlike levels like he was a season ago, and he's been
Right.
struggling a little bit lately. I think his save percentage has been hovering around like 900 in his last 20 games or something
I
like that.
mean,
And
Yarrow Halak's
he'll
picked
probably
up the
figure.
slack for him too, so it's like I don't know.
Yeah,
They're fine.
I think there's a little
yeah.
bit of merit
I
to
think
the course of a season because this is around the same time last year. Like he had an amazing season last year, but he had a rough stretch, like
Mhm.
end of February to like beginning middle of March too. If you remember, the Devils
yeah,
had that one win where they
Mhm.
piled up the goals against him.
yeah. That was like the one shining moment of the Devils' season last year when
Yeah.
they chased them in like the second period. I think they put like 4 or 5 goals on him, and Georgiev came in and they put some more on him. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have any concern about Shesterkin, and come playoff time, he's going to be there. I'm just interested to see how their defensive game is going to hold up with these two guys in their top six now. I don't like. I think people are a little underestimating that a little bit because both Tarasenko and especially Kane are so bad defensively that they're going to give up chances now. And we'll
Gallant's
see
an
if Kane has them.
offensive-minded coach, and so
Yeah, we'll see how much offense Kane has left in the tank too before he went on that little like angry, pissed off bender before the trade. He was not having a good season, so like we'll see how much he has left in. They're really I think the most interesting team at the deadline because of who they acquired and how they
Mhm.
fit. I'll be interested to see how it works in the long run for them.
I know it's funny thinking about Kane because he's been a Blackhawk for his whole career. Sorry, Jay.
No, you're good.
It's just funny because it's like you see him and it's like all I can picture him in is a Blackhawk sweater. He's obviously going to get his number retired. He's got his 3 cups. But then you look at him in the New York sweater and you're like, this kind of fits. I kind of like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little weird at first, and then you see it and you're like, oh, it's New York Rangers. It works.
Yeah. Jay,
So,
do you want to bring up the next big guy? Like,
well,
do you want to make
I
the
just
next
had a
pick?
question for Alex. Is like, is there any merit to the argument for a guy like Patrick Kane who wasn't having a great season as you mentioned this year, and like you look at the underlying numbers, the last 2 years have not been great for him offensively. Is there any merit to the concept that with the Blackhawks being so bad that maybe some of it's just effort offensively as well?
Yeah, there's definitely merit to that. He's on a good team now, and he wanted to be in New York. Um, so like, I guess once he gets comfortable with his teammates, I mean, he's playing with Panarin, so he should have a good idea of what his tendencies are.
Hopefully. I mean,
But
because they've changed. It's been a while since they've played together.
yeah, that's true. That's a good point. It's been quite some time actually since they played together.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll see once he gets, I guess, used to how the Rangers want to play and stuff. He just kind of like they just kind of threw him in against Ottawa on Thursday, and it was so. But and today will be tough, obviously, against the Bruins because they're an absolute wagon. They
The
just don't lose
Bruins.
games really.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I definitely think there's some merit to him. Just like the Blackhawks. Kyle Davidson made it clear that they're stripping it down to the bolts
Mhm.
and rebuilding. They have like 8 billion draft picks over the next 3 drafts.
Yeah.
So obviously
Yeah.
he didn't. Yeah, he obviously didn't want to be there anymore, and now he's in a place he wants to be, and he's playing with one of his best friends in Panarin.
Mhm.
So I think there's definitely merit to that. Like, he just wasn't putting his best out there for Chicago the last couple of seasons. But the defensive thing, I mean, that's not the last couple of seasons. He's been terrible defensively for like a
Yeah.
long time. So
Yeah.
we'll see about that.
I mean, that's Patrick Kane. Defense isn't his game. It's like
Yeah,
He was in that tier for so long where it's like you never even thought twice about it. You didn't care if he didn't play defense or not.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Alex,
we'll see what happens there.
you mentioned the Bruins and just how, godlike they've been. And Jay and I talked about the Pasta extension the other day. Let's talk about Tyler Bertuzzi real quick, like a little bit more,
Yeah. So that
since
was
we mentioned that yesterday.
yeah. So that was a surprise that I wasn't surprised that Bertuzzi got traded. I was just kind of surprised he ended up with the Bruins. But then they said Taylor Hall was on LTIR and maybe
Mhm.
Nick Foligno too. And is Foligno on LTIR or he's just hurt for now, right?
I think it's just IR. I don't think it's
Yeah,
long
yeah, I
term.
think it's just regular.
I think Nick's
Yeah,
gonna be
I mean
fine.
Taylor. Yeah, so Taylor Hall on LTIR, that's $6 million in cap space that they free up.
Mhm.
And the Bruins. I think they're pretty self-aware of where the team is, with Bergeron being 37 years old and Krejci, same thing. They know they don't probably have that many more runs at this, even though they signed Pasternak to a crazy 8-year deal.
Yeah.
So they went out, they get Tyler Bertuzzi to shore up their forward depth, and he's been hurt a lot this season, so it's kind of tough to assess how he's played. But if he's healthy, he can be a really valuable depth forward for them. He's an agitator.
I
Yeah,
like
he's
the
he's an
return for the
agitator.
Bruins. Sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, that's all right. I like the return for the Bruins too. They didn't really give up anything significant. And
Or the Red
he's an
Wings rather,
agitator.
because
He's
it's
gonna,
like, yeah.
yeah, sorry. He's an agitator. He's gonna piss off people in the playoffs. He plays a physical game. And when he's healthy, he can score. So it was a good pickup for them. I thought they were kind of done after the Dmitry Orlov and Garnett Hathaway trade, but they found an opportunity to go get some more scoring, and they get Bertuzzi. So it's a pretty good deal for them.
Their forward core is wild. So they get Bertuzzi. They only trade out a conditional first in 24 and a fourth in 25. So it's like you're giving him magic beans for this guy. And
yeah,
it's like you have Marchand and then DeBrusque or Zaka or however you want to do it on the second line. And then you have Bertuzzi, and it's like, oh, this is a problem. And then you get Hathaway.
Yeah.
And Frederick.
Yeah, their forward depth is insane now. Yeah, we see teams all the time who just tear it up in the regular season, and then they get like goalied in the first round of the playoffs, and they get swept like Tampa when they won 62 games. And,
yep.
yeah, and Columbus, right? And they got goalied to death in that series. But I mean, this Bruins team is, I can't really even think of a flaw they have. Like not even defensively after getting Orlov. So
no, because we talked about their defense, Jay.
Insane.
It's like what are they doing now? It's like Grizz and Mac. It's like Lindholm with Carlo still.
They've got
and
Orlov.
Orlov's on like your third pair with Clifton, and it's like where's a weakness in this? We forgot about Grizzlick when we were listing off their defensemen, and it was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I like that trade for Bertuzzi. It's a good pickup for them, and they basically they don't care about the future because their core is so old. So they got to make a run at it. So who cares about giving up the first round picks? Yeah, their first round picks are going to be like 29th, 30th, or whatever like that. So it's fine giving them up, and I would definitely not want to play them in the first round, second round, and even the conference finals.
Yeah, no, they're still the favorites by a long shot.
Not to mention, like, when the playoffs begin and the salary cap goes away, they still have Mike Riley too as a 7th, 8th defenseman.
Yeah, and then they'll be able to play Taylor Hall with all of these guys too when he comes back. So
that's the thing.
It's pretty crazy.
That's the funny thing when there's like no salary cap, and you have all of these amazing players. Montgomery's got so many options. What do you do? How do you
that's a good problem
this
to have, right?
with I know it's a great problem to have, but it's like, what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a luxury for sure. Their third line could conceivably be like Tyler Bertuzzi, Charlie Coyle, and Taylor Hall in the playoffs. Like, what the hell? Like, what the hell? That's pretty insane.
Fourth line of Frederick, Nosek, Hathaway, like, man, I don't want to go up against that.
You got Jake. Is DeBrusque back from his injury?
DeBrusque.
I have no idea.
I don't know, but it's
he'll be ready for the playoffs, I'm assuming.
You have Jake DeBrusque, you have David Pasternak, you have Pavel Zacha, you have Brad Marchand. Their wing depth is everywhere.
Yeah.
Is this where we go on a Pavel Zacha rant?
Well, he keeps mentioning Pavel Zacha, so he's secondary assist merchant. I don't want to tell that to the Bruins fans, because apparently they're like, "Oh, Devils fans, you guys said this guy sucks," and like, no, first of all, we didn't say he sucks. We just said he was kind of mid. And then he's cashing in on Pasternak. He's not having a bad season, obviously, but like,
no.
I think he has like the most secondary assists in the league among forwards. So like he's cashing in on Pasternak's,
He's still getting
magic.
point. Yeah, he's still getting his points. Like the secondary assists aren't nothing really.
No, they're not, but they're also like not indicative of how good a player is playing.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna leave it at that.
That's fair. I take your argument and run with it. Okay.
I was mean for doing that.
That was very mean. How dare you? Okay, let's talk. Okay, so we've talked about Kane. We talked about Tarasenko. We talked about Timo right off the hop because he was probably the belle at the ball this trade deadline, right? Other than Chikrin.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, Chikrin was a good one.
So let's talk about Chikrin. And what I want to start with Chikrin really quick is this whole idea that because we had it with Gavrikov, the trade reasons scratching for weeks at a time. Like,
yeah, so like I think they were close with Chikrin at first. Elliot Friedman kind of said it on 32 Thoughts that they were close with someone, maybe Los Angeles, but then he said he got pushed back that Los Angeles wasn't close. So I think they were close with something. I guess same thing with Gavrikov. We all know happened with Boston, and they ended up getting Orlov instead.
right.
Yeah, I don't mean I can't imagine the NHLPA is too thrilled about players sitting for like 5-6 games at a time for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But he did end up getting dealt.
And the whole thing,
Coyotes...
I think this scratching for, as long as it was, because it was like 2.5 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, like something like that. And yeah, I mean, he sat out. I think he kind of like sat out the whole month of February almost.
Yeah, that's why this return is only what it is. It's a 2023 first, a second rounder in 24, and a second rounder in 26. So that's really not that much for a guy like Jake Chikrin.
Yeah, and we all knew like the rumored price for him was like 2 firsts and a top prospect. That's why Arizona held on to him for like 18 months before trading him. But they obviously came down from that price because nobody was biting on it, which I'm a little bit surprised about because Chikrin is a legit top pair defenseman and he's on a really good contract.
Yeah. There's something about Ottawa. I don't know what it is with Pierre Dorian, but that return that he gave up for Chikrin as well as what he gave up to get to Brinkett just unbelievable because they were both speculated for a while like, oh, they can trade him, they can get this for Brinkett, they can get this for Chikrin, and then we see, oh, they're traded to Ottawa, and then we see the returns where we're like, no other team was willing to give this up.
Excuse me? It's like, yeah. But
yeah,
now...
like that's why I was surprised. Like the Kings, like they needed a left shot defenseman, and Gavrikov is pretty decent for like the type of player he is. But like the Kings weren't willing to pay that price for Chikrin.
Yeah.
Or like I'm trying to think who else. Like Detroit was rumored for Chikrin at one point. Like they're trying to move it forward. Like that would have made sense for the Red Wings too.
Right.
I guess it was just like Bill Armstrong at the last minute was like, listen, I'm not getting it. He probably circled back to Ottawa. Like, listen, we're not getting what we want, and we know you're interested in him. We're coming down on our price. And Pierre Dorian, who's like the weirdest, like worst GM in the league because like he'll make a bunch of bad moves, and then like all of a sudden he'll pull off like the break it and Chikrin moves. You're like, oh wow, that's pretty good job on his part. And
getting Giroux signed to what he got him signed to too. It was like his free agency stuff recently has been great.
Yeah, exactly. So like moves like that, and you're like, oh, not bad. And Dorian's always drafted well for the most part. I think he came up as like an amateur scout through Ottawa, so that's always been good on his part. But yeah, I was a little surprised like when the Chikrin trade broke on whatever was that like Tuesday or Wednesday night, I think.
You have Shabbat, you have Chikrin, you have Sanderson, you have Bernard Docker, you have like
now.
Yeah, and they're gonna have they can. Yeah, someone will even maybe move to the right side in that case. I guess
can see
maybe
Sandy
like someone who's more of an
yeah,
or someone like Shabbat who's more maybe of an offensive-minded defender. But yeah, their defense is pretty good now, and their odds of making the playoffs are they have long odds still, even though I think they're only like 3 or 5 points out right now. But they're playing really good hockey right now, and it's not like Chikrin's a rental. They're going to have him for the next 2.5 years, and I think next
Yeah.
year Ottawa should really take a step forward and compete for a playoff spot in the Atlantic Division if they get their goaltending straightened out.
Big A for the Sens on that one. That's like
Yeah, I agree. I give
brilliant
him an
work.
A.
Yeah.
I know we haven't
I
been
give him an
giving
A
the
in my
letter
trade
grades
grade
on a
speech
lot
for
of
that.
these, but it's like
Yeah,
we're just
we could
trying
go
to
over
talk
them.
about them.
Yeah. Yeah, so Timo Meyer, A-. I gave Patrick Kane and both of in my trade grade articles for that, I gave Kane and Tarasenko B pluses, and I gave
Okay.
Chikrin A because what they gave up for him.
Yeah.
And Klingberg, I actually gave a B plus too because I thought he was a good fit for Minnesota and what they need back there. So
Look, and
fair.
to
Minnesota's
recap
the
what we've
kind of
talked
team that
about so far.
will like actually do what they need to do. Like they're not a team that's going to trade for John Klingberg and be like, "You're a second pair guy. We're going to give
Right.
you like big responsibilities." Like Minnesota will shelter this guy, put him on the power play, put him in situations where he can't really hurt them, but can help them in spots.
Yeah, they're not going to be like, here, you're going up against Nikita Kucherov tonight. Like, they're not going to do
Yeah.
that to him.
No.
Yeah, so
That's the Leafs had a big deadline, getting Roar and getting Shen and getting literally like they went out and got so many pieces.
who didn't they get? Basically, they
Exactly.
basically got like half. They got like half my trade board at the Hockey Writers. They got like 5 players I had on my trade board.
They got Nolachari
So, yeah.
with Roar, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, so which one do we want to start with here? Because they made like 7 billion trades.
Well, so we talked about the Roar trade on our own.
Zorn.
We talked about the Roar trade. We didn't really get to like Schenner or trading Rasmus Sandin or anything like that.
Oh right, I forgot. I even forgot about Sandin. So,
Love that move.
Yeah,
For the Capitals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a really good move for the Capitals because
I felt bad for I felt bad for teammates because he was obviously really close with Willie and a few of the other Swedes, and just like from a personal standpoint, this really sucks. But
yeah, I saw some of the images of him like hugging the players when he got pulled out of Leafs practice that day. But yeah, for the Caps, I didn't do the trade grades article for that, but I'd give him like an A- for you kind of. They didn't buy low. I think they gave up a first round pick, but they're taking a good bet on a young defenseman who has some really good underlying numbers. And the Caps, they don't want to rebuild with Ovechkin. They still want to be at least like playoff contenders for the next couple of years while he's chasing the Gretzky record. So
yeah,
I really like that move for them. I'd give him like an A- for taking Sandin.
It's a
Good
quick
bet.
retool kind of situation because you think about it, you trade 3 expiring contracts. You traded away Orlov, Hathaway, and in this deal, Eric Gustafsson. And in return, they got, I think, a 3rd round pick and then ultimately Rasmus Sandin. So,
yeah, it was a good move for them. And did the Leafs end up keeping Eric Gustafsson because they had like 10 defensemen after that trade? They kept him, right?
He's still there. Yeah, right now he's still there.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming they're gonna do something with him.
So he was having a pretty good season for Washington. I kind of like that pickup as a 3rd pair.
They picked up the guy that scored a hat trick against him earlier this year.
Did he have Gustafsson had a hat trick against the Leafs this year?
He did.
Yes.
He didn't have any goals going into. He was goalless in like 50 plus games, and then he scored a hat trick against the Leafs. And ever since then, he's been like fantastic offensively.
Yeah, because I was gonna say he's having a really good season this year. So like I really like that pick for pickup for the Leafs as like a 3rd pair offensive defenseman.
Well, now they have like 10 D men that they can use because like even Giordano at 39 is playing like he's 30.
They got Jake McCabe,
and
Sam Lafferty.
Yeah, they got Luke Shen also on the back end. So like Sheldon Keefe can play. He can switch his defenseman up like any game he wants.
You still have Justin Hall. You still have Connor Timmins. You still have Timothy Liljegren.
There's options. There's guys that you can put in the press box while you're still playing Justin Hall 20 minutes a night.
Yeah, which is what Kiefer's going to do.
Why did he's still playing Justin Hall in the top pair, which I really don't understand. But
that's been our thing. That's been our thing. Like, because I like the Leafs. I enjoy what they do. I've been following the team,
too. Yeah.
like as closely as I can. And Jay loves ripping on these guys because that's just how Toronto is.
It's funny. I don't hate the team. I don't hate the team. I like a lot of the guys on the team, but you have to admit, it's pretty funny.
Some of them get tiring after a while. Some of the you get.
Well, yeah, because you actually care about the team. I don't, so it's funny to me.
But it's just like
it's like every time they lose in the first round, like their fans, like it's a little depressing now because it's been like 20 years of losing in the first round, but it's
Yeah,
also
like-
kind of funny.
Well, no, it's like similar, like because you watch basketball too, Alex. Like it's kind of similar. So like I didn't hate the Clippers with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin at the end, but it was funny every year because you knew what was going to happen.
it's just
Yeah,
like
it's like the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, like like the Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie. That was just like a total disaster. And like, I'm not a fan of either of the local teams here. I'm a Miami Heat fan, so like, kind
okay.
of seeing what was happening with the Brooklyn Nets was funny to me. So it's like the same thing a little
But
bit.
it's just like a lot of these are old hat now because it's been so long. So it's like, can we get a new, even
Well,
sometimes even
thing.
sometimes even
you
the
need to
David Ayers stuff gets old by now. I don't know.
Here's what you need to understand, Jake. The reason it's funny is because it's not the same old joke. Every year they provide a new one.
I mean, that's fair. They do it in a new spectacular way.
Yeah, so like in the bubble, was it the bubble? It was the bubble against Montreal. Like they were up 3-1, and Carey
Yeah.
Price went God mode. Like that was basically the last we ever saw of Carey Price too, which is even more hilarious.
Yeah.
Playing
With the
against
lead.
Shea Weber.
Columbus, like
and Shea
the bubble
Weber,
against
exactly.
Columbus, like God, were they allowed a goal
That-
to Liam Foudy? Like really, you allowed a goal to Liam Foudy?
That was like the parting gift from Shea Weber and Carey Price was that run against Toronto. So yeah, and then last year they get goalied by Vasilevsky because Vasilevsky had like a 970 save percentage in Game 7 or
God.
whatever.
Oof.
Yeah, so it's like Jay said, they provide new ways to lose, and that's why it's funny.
I think that covers most of the big fish.
Yeah, I think I just want to touch on Jake McCabe too with Toronto because I thought that was a really good pickup for them too. They need like a shutdown top 4 defenseman, and for some reason, I think Morgan Riley and Justin Hall are still their top pair, but they should be giving those minutes to McCabe and maybe even Liljegren if that's their second pair.
Lily, yes, please. Please, I love Lily.
Yeah, so they're both really good. And McCabe, even in Chicago, he was playing like top pair minutes on a really bad team and handling them really well. So I really like that pickup for them. And Sam Lafferty is fine for what he is. They add a little bit of scoring depth with him, but McCabe was really the
trading out Engvall to make the
center of
roster
that.
spot work and that kind of thing.
Yeah, of course, Lou goes get Pierre Engvall. That felt like a typical Lou, like bottom 6.
He was a Lou guy,
move.
yeah.
Yeah, so I like that trade.
Parting gifts. Okay, so the next trade I want to talk about is a Nashville Predators parting gift from David Boyle.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, I was
Lord.
just bringing
Yeah,
this up.
Yeah.
Tanner Jeannot.
Yeah, I mean,
this one. I was looking at the other one.
Yeah, for Cal Foot, a 2025 first, a 2024 second, a 2023 third, a 2023 fourth, and then a 2023 fifth.
An entire draft class, like an entire draft lineup for Tanner Jeannot.
Yeah. So like I saw Breezeball's comments about the draft picks and like how he's like he knows what their value is and what the chances are of those picks turning into NHLers, and he's right in his assessment of that, but like why are you outbidding yourself? Like who else was paying that for Tanner Jeannot? I don't think anybody was paying that price for Tanner Jeannot.
So here's my thoughts on that, right? We know, and Jay and I talked about this yesterday, that, we all know Poyle's stepping down now and Barry Trotz is going to take over. So from Nashville's side of it, Poyle is trying to set Barry up from scratch, right?
Yeah.
And give him the best shot at okay, I'm going to give you as many picks as I can so you can, we can see what you can do. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So like the thing with Nashville is like I got no issues with I didn't do trade grades for that article, but I would have given him like A++ because what the hell is that return for Tanner Jeannot?
Yeah.
He has like 3 goals this season or something, right? Like it's just like he's had some poor shooting luck. That's part of it.
Tanner's had a rough go of it this year. I love
Yeah.
Tanner Jeannot. He's a great player.
And like I think he will fit what Tampa wants to do because they love
Yes.
those like kind of like hard to play against forechecking players. But I still don't understand why. I don't understand why you'd give up that much for him when I really don't think like there was what other team in their right mind was gonna give up that return for Tanner Jeannot. Like even the grittiest of hockey men GMs wouldn't give up that much for him. That's why I don't
think-
understand. I
Is
don't
it one of
understand
those
it. I mean, they
situations where like Tampa comes knocking on your door looking for Tanner Jeannot and you have to step back and you're like, well, let's think a second. They did this for Barkley Goodrow, it worked out. They did this for Blake Coleman, it worked out.
They
Like,
did
they've
this.
done this before. Is it a mistake trading this guy? And then you start getting into a bidding war with each other about it.
Yeah.
Like, we think we need to keep this guy now that we know that you're interested in
Well,
him.
So let's think about how Tampa's done this ever since, right? You mentioned, Jay, that they did this for Goodrow and Coleman.
We got the first for Goodrow. I remember like falling out of my chair.
Yeah,
when I saw that.
exactly. They did it to
yeah,
get
Brendan Hagel too.
Hagel, Nick
Yeah.
Paul. They're finding all of these guys. You lose Andre Palat to the Devils, and now you get Jeannot to take that spot. And it's like, it's just magic.
Yeah.
They just make it work.
So like I kind of understood it for Brendan Hagel because Hagel was having a good season at the time and his underlying numbers were all really good. So like
In his contract.
it wasn't a and his contract too, of course, was fantastic. So like
Mhm.
I understand making that bet, but like they gave up a first for Blake Coleman and what was that? Is that all they gave up for
Nolan
Blake Coleman?
Foote.
I should know this because that's the team I write about, but I don't remember.
It was
they gave up a first for Blake.
Nolan Foote, right?
Right? Yeah, duh. Yeah, it was Nolan Foote. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Cal Foote's in this deal.
Yeah, there's a lot of feet
Yeah,
swapping around.
yeah, yeah. That was a good way of putting it.
See,
yeah, I
he
don't, like,
likes my jokes, Jay. Like,
No, I'm
Jay's
pissed
just-
because you
he's
took
got
it
it.
from me. Dick.
Oh wow. You see, so Jay, and he knows my puns are absolutely awful. but-
Oh my god,
I think we got a good little
Dude, he
bad
is-
pun trifecta over here.
dude! Like, he
Yeah.
is brutal. Some of them.
yeah, they're pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty rough.
But it's why it's
But
funny
yeah.
because the worse it is, the funnier it is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's how it always
exactly. Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, the worse it is, the funnier it is. That's
If it
why
doesn't
you
give me
gotta
a
make 'em as
migraine,
bad.
it's not good enough.
I think
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Back to this.
So back to the Tanner Jeannot trade. Yeah, I don't know what the hell Tampa is doing.
It's-
I think this is the one bet that they make that's not really going to pan out for them because, like, if you look at the other players that they took bets on, like Hagel, Nick Paul, Blake
Mhm.
Coleman, they all had really good underlying numbers, but Tanner Jeannot's like underlying metrics are not very good. So
You gotta
we'll
wait
see what
and see.
happens. But well, as I say this, he'll probably score like 5 goals in the first round of the playoffs against the Leafs, the game-winning
Yeah.
goal in Game 7, and
Oh,
then
God.
he'll win them the series.
This
He'll
is
win
why,
them the
like,
series. So
This is what it's like for
This is
like,
why the East is such an arms race, guys. It's
Yeah.
because it's like, I feel like, and this is with even personal bias aside, the Leafs are shoring up so much. They could be able to do this. And then everybody's just trying to answer everybody. And it's like,
this is the worst year to be a contender in the Eastern Conference
Yes.
because like Toronto, like all jokes aside about Toronto, their roster's fantastic.
I love
You
it.
know,
Yeah.
Carolina is fantastic.
They
The
just got
Devils
Yessi
are fantastic.
Puljujärvi. Like,
And then you
what?
see the freaking Bruins up, and it's just like, oh my god, like the fastest team to 100 points.
yeah, so like the top 6 teams in the East are pretty much insane, and then you have like the Islanders and Penguins in 7 and 8. Like, good luck to them in the first round.
Yeah,
But-
like we looked league wide, and the first team in the West is Vegas, and they're like 7th in the league.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, so the East is insane this year, and like you kind of look at this, like the Tanner Jeannot trade, you see that, and then you kind of understand why Kyle Dubas is going out and getting like every player on the trade market because they know they're sizing up against Tampa in that 1st
Mhm.
round. That's who they're going to
Yeah.
play for the second year in a row. So like, I'm sure when Dubas and I guess Brisebois to an extent too, they know that they're sizing up against each other, so they kind of make moves
Mhm.
to they're making moves to counter each other because they know they're going to play each other in the first round.
Exactly.
And that's why it's going to be probably an insane first round matchup again.
It's a big,
Yeah.
big Cold War going on between the blue and white teams, guys.
Yeah.
It's just like the frustrating thing with Tampa is like so many of these moves have worked out for them. Like my initial
he's so
reaction to
good.
seeing this trade for Tanner Jeannot was not, oh my god, they gave up that much for Tanner Jeannot. It was, this will probably work.
Of course it will.
This will probably be worthwhile for them.
Yeah.
So my initial reaction was like, "Oh my God, what are they doing?" And then when I like took a couple minutes to have things settle in and realized it was Tampa, I was like, "Oh, he's scoring like 20 goals for them."
Yeah, it's
You know,
like
the rest of the
we know
season,
exactly what they're
he's going
doing.
to score 20 goals in 20 games for the
Yeah,
rest of the
it's
season,
gonna
and
be
they're going to
ridiculous.
win the Stanley Cup again.
Even if he doesn't have an insane
Exactly.
playoff run, he's going to score like the most important goal for them in the playoffs.
Yeah. Tanner
Yeah,
Jeannot
that's
Cup
always
winner.
the
Let's
way it
go,
works
guys.
for them. It's
Yeah.
it was like, or like I said, you know, eliminating the Leafs again.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's gonna do something for them, and we're gonna be like, oh, that's why they traded 6 million draft picks for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think okay. So back to trades, and I think this is the last big fish that we really need to cover, and then we can kind of mention a few of the smaller guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to end it. Oilers acquire
Oh,
Matthias
right.
Ekholm and a sixth in 24 from Nashville for Tyson Barrie, Reed Schaefer, a first rounder in 23, and a fourth in 24.
Yeah, so I was surprised that they traded Tyson Barrie because he's been having a pretty good season for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess they figured with Evan Bouchard playing pretty well that they kind of
Mhm.
have two of the same defensemen.
I love Bouchard too.
Love Evan.
Yeah,
He's
Bouchard's
great.
really good. Yeah, he's really good for like a second pair kind of offensive defenseman. So they kind of figured we have two of the same guy there. We need more of a two-way defender who can play, I guess, both offensively and shut down minutes, and they get that with Matthias Ekholm. You know, the funniest part of that trade was that the Predators retain only 4% of his
The
salary.
retention
Like
was
4%.
hilarious.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you only
Also,
you only
Nashville,
get 3 retention spots, so like you're kind of wasting one of them.
yeah, and
Didn't
you
you
know
want to
he's
go on
got
a
what
rant about this,
3.
Jay?
Well, it makes
I
no
thought-
sense.
It's like
Yeah, it doesn't make
so
sense.
I
Like, just don't
think
retain at all. Like, what's
Yeah.
4%? Is that even does it even bring his salary, his cap hit below 6 million?
It brings it to 6 million.
yeah, exactly. It's
It's exactly
Yeah.
0.25.
well, that's what I'm.
I don't know.
That's
That's
what I
weird.
think
I don't understand.
Is
That's
a
something you do for
smart-
like visually when you're playing Chell.
It's
Yeah.
very much like we know who Ken Holland is at this point. And just
Old.
one of the dinosaur GMs, right?
Yeah,
I
pretty
thi-
much old.
the thing that I like about the whole retention aspect of it is it's able to really squeeze their cap space in order to fit just right. Because you have guys, you have
Yeah.
Barry going
I don't
out.
hate it for the Oilers. I
And
don't
then-
get it for the
Yeah,
Predators.
no, I don't. Yeah,
for
I
the
don't hate.
Preds,
Yeah, I
it's-
don't hate it for the Oilers.
It's like, this is a nice parting gift from David Boyle to Barry Trotz. Hey, screw you. For the next 3
Here's-
years, one of your retention spots is gone.
Yeah. Here you have $250,000 in dead cap money for whatever reason. Trotz will look back on this in 2 years. He's gonna be looking at their books in 2 years and be like, "What the hell is this?" Oh, right, David Boyle retained 4% of Matthias Ekholm's deal.
Right. I don't know. So it works out with Ken Holland, but I don't know. Barry is, he's an offensive guy. He'll probably play second pair minutes.
Yeah, he
For
was having good
Nashville.
results. Like his defensive metrics this season were not like ungodly horrible.
Yeah, no, he's actually been pretty good defensively this
Yeah.
season. For some reason, the Oilers were playing him on the penalty kill. I don't really know why. And his penalty
Probably
kill
to
numbers
help
were pretty
boost those.
terrible.
I don't
Like,
know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but like, yeah.
an
So
interesting decision.
he's having a good season, but I do like the trade for the Oilers because they needed that type of defenseman.
Mhm.
Badly.
In Matthias Ekholm, he's not what he used to be, and that could be a little problematic at the last maybe year of this deal if they want to make other moves to, complement McDavid and Draisaitl at that time.
Mhm.
But
Right.
I like it for now, and with the Western Conference being just pretty mid and wide open, they could easily win the conference this year if they get goaltending and good defense in the playoffs. So I like the pickup for them. It was a good need. I'd probably give it like a B plus, just because I don't really like Ekholm's contract. But from the Oilers side of it, I think good fit.
Yeah. We'll see how it is. Come playoff time.
Sorry.
Bless you, Jay.
Bless you. Yeah.
Thank you. But here's the thing. You mentioned like a couple years down the line how that contract's going to look. What you're not considering is 250,000 of that was shaven off.
Yeah, right. The whole 4%.
So like
it's so funny
that contract
too,
looks so much better.
yeah, right.
He's a
the funny
$6
thing about
million
that is-
guy, not a $6.25 million guy.
Yeah,
Think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the funny thing about it too is like Nashville hates retaining salary. So like when you see that they retain 4% salary, it just shows how much they hate retaining salary. So I just think that's even the
it's
funnier
like we
part
don't
about
even
it.
really want to do this, but fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I thought it was when I saw 4% when Pierre LeBrun, I think was the first to tweet it. I was like, you sure 4% and not 40%?
Yeah. It's a very arbitrary number, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, all right. I think Ekholm's the last like big guy that really went that everybody was paying attention to.
I think there was one other.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
there's still like a lot of names that a lot of us fans will recognize that went, but
Philip Roenick.
Hronik, yeah.
Yeah. That's the one.
That one was a wild one.
What the hell was this one?
That one was weird.
Yeah, so I don't really understand what the Canucks are doing. Like, are they buying? Or are they selling? Or are they? They've made it clear that made it clear they want to retool. Like, they don't want to rebuild. They want players in their mid-20s so they can compete sooner than later. But I look at that roster and I'm just like, I don't know. Like, are they going to trade JT Miller or Brock Besser in the off season too? That was a weird trade. And like Hronik has had a good season, but it's kind of come out of nowhere. And they gave up a first and a couple other picks, I think.
It was the Islanders' first round pick, and it was their own second round pick. So you're talking about an Islanders pick that's probably going to be what in that like 11 to 18 range, kind
11 to 20, maybe.
Yes.
And
somewhere around there.
Second round pick that's going to be what in like the 35 to 40. 40 like 43 range, like some like that's like good draft capital you're giving up this season. And for the Red Wings side of it, like this kind of screams to me from Steve Yzerman that he's like, okay, this guy's had a good season, it is an outlier season, and I'm taking full advantage of it.
I think that just shows how smart Steve Yzerman is. Like,
yeah, I agree with 100% with that. I don't think he was looking to trade Hronik, but then he got like I think it was Frank Saravalli who said in the FO rundown like Hronik's name wasn't even really out there, so like they weren't even shopping him. But I guess the Vancouver Canucks like approached him and they talked deal, and they came out to that price, which when you think about it was one less draft pick than what Chychrun went for, and Chychrun's a much better defenseman than Hronik.
That's part of why it was surprising that they didn't get Chychrun, the Red Wings, because those trades happened within like minutes of each other. So I was surprised that when that was happening, Steve Yzerman doesn't call up Arizona's like, hold on like a second, like we just got a couple assets that we can give you. Like,
yeah, like when he traded Hronik, I was like, oh, they're going for Chychrun. Like this makes too much sense.
Right.
And then Ottawa stepped up because they needed Chychrun as much as Detroit does too. I think the difference is with Detroit that they got Simon Edmondson coming up and William Wallander too. So like they got some good left shot prospects coming up.
So
maybe that's why they're like, oh, we don't want
out of nowhere this season.
Jake's been awesome. No wonder he got that extension. It's great.
Yeah. So like
Wallman's been awesome. He's kind of like helped Mo Seider get off to a good start after he was anchored with Ben Sherratt for like the first half of the season. I
was gonna say, could you imagine if they got Chychrun and it was Chychrun and Seider? Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that top pair would have been insane. That's the type of partner. I mean, Wallman's been really good for Seider, but that's the type of partner that Seider could use with Chychrun, and that's why I thought when they traded Hronik, I was like, oh, they're gonna get Chychrun in a couple minutes, but they didn't. But I still really like the trade for the Red Wings, like because they probably moved the guy who's having an outlier season for two pretty valuable assets. And for the Canucks, I don't really know what you're doing. I'll give him like a C+ for that. For the Red Wings to give him like an A- on that trade, I thought that was a smart move. Yeah. Canucks, they kind of seem to lack some direction right now.
Wednesday was crazy because it was like we had a span of an hour where everything happened.
Yeah, and then like Thursday was kind of dead, and that turned out like yesterday was, everyone had moved by that point. So
I bet
Yeah, it
Bruce
was
was
a-
still fun on the panel.
Yeah. Or like the thing I love about this for the Red Wings is like they didn't get Chikrin, but like you almost know for certain, like unless this pick from the Islanders ends up being like a really good pick, if they like move up in the draft or whatever, like these picks are certainly going to get moved by Steve Yzerman to bring in another player this offseason.
yeah, I think
Probably,
he's gonna
yeah.
use them. Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to use them to like, some team that's cap strapped like Boston is going to have to move some money this year, this summer because of signing Pasternak to that contract
Mhm.
extension.
Yep.
They're not going to be able to keep everyone, so like you could see Boston and Detroit maybe teaming up for another deal. But I agree with that. I think Yzerman is going to come up with something to get some NHL talent with those picks.
Another semi big one,
Mhm.
which I was blown away by. I did
Let's
not
do
think coming.
this, and then I want to just like kind of rapid fire
Yeah.
through some of the rest of these.
Mikhail Granlund.
Yeah, sounds good.
Granny, yeah.
Yeah, Granlund to the Penguins.
Yeah, I mean the
Wow.
Penguins seem to love. Is Lou Lamoriello managing the Penguins because all their deadline
Ugh.
pickups were players in their mid-30s?
With,
I mean, listen.
with
Okay.
term. With term.
Okay, so I think let's tie this in with Nick Bonino too, because
Oh yeah, I gotta
Bonino
bring the
came
band
back.
together.
Yeah.
Nostalgia, man.
And
Here's the funny
Kulikov,
thing,
yeah.
and Cooley, yeah. So it's like the whole thing is I've seen so many Penguins fans on Discord and Twitter, like the
Pissed.
entire thing all comes back to Ron Hextall.
Yeah.
Secret Flyers agent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
love
mean,
it.
I don't. They have to make the playoffs just because they ran it back with the same team
It's
from
hilarious
last
though.
season, pretty much. And I think they're gonna make it, but like, where
They're
are they
not gonna go
going
anywhere.
in the playoffs?
Okay.
Yeah, they're. I just didn't understand. Like they needed a scorer, and Granlund's he can pick up assists, but like he doesn't really shoot the puck anymore.
Mhm.
I didn't really understand that trade for Pittsburgh, especially when you look at what the rest of the Metropolitan Division did. I just don't really see how it helps them.
Yeah, and I
Especially like
mean,
Jay said, he has term.
So I have a theory.
you
It's not.
can't.
It's not actually
Oh.
a theory. Okay, but
Okay.
since you just mentioned Ron Hextall being a Flyers agent,
Mhm.
Chuck Fletcher
Yeah.
was the assistant general manager of the Penguins for 3 years under Ray Shero.
Oh. Mm.
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 Uh-huh.
We got
How
some
about that?
secret agents
Uh-huh.
running rival teams.
Oh, that's right.
That's
Yeah, and we should talk about. Well, I guess we could do it in the rapid fire. JVR not getting traded. So
a
we'll
little
leave it for that.
conspiracy
But
theory.
yeah, but yeah, maybe Chuck Fletcher's a little bit of a Penguins secret agent too. Yeah, I didn't understand the Granlund trade. It's just like
I will
I don't.
say that you
They're
can't necessarily
bottom
rule
six.
them out because, like, you can't rule them out when you have Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang.
The
Yeah,
problem
I
is
mean,
those
I
guys don't play
definitely
on every
think
line.
they're.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Good.
that's what I was gonna say. Like the Penguins' bottom six is terrible, and they got Granlund to kind of like I guess shore up their third line.
well,
But
because
Jeff
Carter
Carter's
fell
just
off a
been
cliff
absent.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been really really bad this season.
And then
So
they
I guess
moved
Granlund.
Teddy. They moved our favorite guy, Teddy
They moved
Bluger, and it's
Teddy,
like,
they moved Brock McGinn, and like, don't get me wrong, like I understand that neither of those guys are like lighting the world on fire, but I think they're more valuable at this point in their career than a guy like Mikhail Granlund at $5 million with term.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I don't see how he's going to help their bottom six that much. I think, if they're going to make the playoffs, they'll be riding off Malkin and Crosby, which they're still playing at a really high level. The biggest issue for me with Pittsburgh is their defense, and like I'm kind of interested to see how Kulikov does now because he got out of the Ducks system and he's going to be playing for Mike Sullivan. So I think he can help them. I think he'll help them more than anything else that they did at the deadline. But yeah, you could tell that the Penguins window is closing. Like there's not the Devils are coming up. Like Columbus is obviously having a bad season, but they have good prospects and like they could turn it around if they get some goaltending too. The Rangers are going to be good for a while. The Caps, if they do their retool right this summer, they could be even more competitive than Pittsburgh moving forward. So you could definitely tell their window is shutting.
Yes, absolutely. It's the Metro has always been one of those like more hyper competitive divisions between everybody to a certain degree. So
Yeah,
it's
this
just
year
like
it's insane.
this year's absolutely what like
I mean, well, we didn't even mention
so
the
crazy.
Hurricanes.
Yeah, the Hurricanes being
Who?
top dogs.
The
Like
Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Like, they're also like really
whoa,
good. They're going to continue to be good for years too. So like,
well, because their
Yeah,
window's just
and, like-
opening. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, here we go.
And they still have good prospects coming up, like Alexander Nikishin. Seth Jarvis hasn't hit his prime yet.
Seth
Mhm.
Jarvis is
So
good.
Kachetkov's gonna be great in net for foreseeable
yeah, didn't
future.
he had
Yeah.
a
I mean, they got some
he had a
good
goalie
goalie in
goal?
that.
Yeah,
No, that was Allmark.
No,
no, I thought he had
no,
a goalie goal in
Kachetov
the
had
one in the
AHL
minors.
last night.
Oh, in the minors, Kachetkov.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his celly was pretty insane too.
'Cause
Yeah,
we
it
talked
was
we
cool.
talked about Linus's goal yesterday, and I love it.
Yeah, no,
Oh, great.
Kochetkov had one in the AHL last night. So in Carolina, they get Puljujarvi and Gostisbehere too. So
yeah, okay. So
yeah.
here's
Puljujarvi is going to be fantastic for them. He's
oh yeah,
This
he's
is
gonna
where he's going to hit his stride.
Yeah,
So-
you know, as soon as I saw he was going to Carolina, I was like, oh, he's gonna be good.
he's gonna
Yeah.
be
They're
great
gonna
now.
fix him.
All right, so we're gonna end this with a rapid fire, and we're gonna start from February 25th, because there's a lot of guys that like we would recognize the names. A lot of these are
Yeah.
depth guys, but it's still like names that we know, and I just want winners and losers. Okay.
okay. Rapid.
Yep,
and
sounds
No
good.
explanation, just word.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. First trade: Avalanche get Keith Kincaid from Boston for Shane Bowers.
uh,
Wow. No one.
I guess. Yeah, I guess no
Depth
one
trade.
wins that trade. It's just like some depth mood. Yeah, so
Like-
Francois is always injured for Colorado, so good to have goalie depth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of these
Colorado
are
gets
still
a new Twitter admin, so
Yeah.
all right. Canucks get Vitaly Kravtsov from the Rangers for William Lockwood and a 7th round pick in 26.
Canucks.
Yeah, Canucks.
Hopefully Kravtsov finally gets something
Yeah.
together. Right?
Yeah, good upside bet.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. Jets, and this is because we never talk about the Jets for whatever reason, Jay.
Because they're Winnipeg.
Because they're Winnipeg.
Exactly.
This is a great move for them, though, because they get Nino Niederreiter from the Predators for a 2nd round pick in 24.
Jets.
Yeah, definitely the Jets.
Absolutely. Going into the 26th, the Stars get Evgeny Dodonov from the Canadians for Denis Gurianov. That's a
Habs.
fun player-for-player trade.
Habs.
Yeah,
Habs?
I said Canadians as well. Yep.
Because you get the younger guy, and hopefully Guri, gets a nice.
I
change
think
of
he'll
scenery.
regain form under
Yeah,
Marty.
He just
St. Louis.
needed to
He's a
change the
perfect coach.
scenery.
Mhm.
Change
Yeah,
the scenery
he
plus
just needed
Marty
to
St.
change-
Louis is the perfect guy for him to play under.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Either
I
him
agree.
or Granato.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely fair. Vegas Golden Knights get Ivan Barbashev from the Blues for forward Zach Dean, prospect.
Blues.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I like the fit with Vegas for Barbashev, so I'll go Golden Knights.
I like what Barbashev is going to do for them. Yeah, I wonder what he's going to end up eventually doing. Probably 4th line center, like him and Cotter just
he's
kind
been-
of swapping.
He's probably third.
He was on the wing.
third.
He was like on the wing of their second line last night against the Devils. So
Fair. That's fair. You'll like this one, Jay. It's a reunion. Colorado gets Jack Johnson from Chicago for Andreas Englund.
I'm gonna go Avs. I know Jack Johnson's been terrible, but he is a body who can play NHL hockey, and he won a cup last year as a 3rd pair defenseman. So, shit, I guess.
I mean, it's like the Avs. It's like Tampa a little bit. Like these
Mhm.
trades seem to work for them. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'll go with the Avs too.
Yeah, I think he was their missing piece for that
Well,
cup.
I mean,
run,
they
so-
go out and they get a Stanley Cup champion defenseman. What's wrong with that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Timo trade, Tingerzino trade, nothing trade, McCabe trade. Sabres get Stillman from Vancouver for Josh Bloom.
Vancouver.
Yeah, I'll go
Stillman's
Vancouver
been
too.
awful for.
Yeah, I was thinking Chase Stillman for a second. I was like, wait a second.
No,
I think
Riley.
Josh Bloom's the relatively interesting prospect, late third round pick a couple years ago. So we'll see how that works out for them. But I'm not high on Stillman.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Yeah,
Meh.
same here.
Hurricanes get Jesse Puljujarvi from Edmonton for the rights to unsigned draft choice forward Patrick Pistola.
This is an interesting one. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
Canes, but I think I like the return for Edmonton.
Yeah, I'm
Well-
actually going to say both teams won this trade because they got a really good prospect in Pistola.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing too, is Pistola's going to need signed.
Yeah, but I think they'll get him signed. I
Yeah.
don't see why they wouldn't sign him.
Probably, we'll see, right?
I want to pass up on a chance to play with McDavid and Draisaitl.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
The Minnesota Wild get Marcus Johansson from the Capitals in exchange for a third rounder in 24.
The Wild.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean they're familiar with Johansson, and
it's just a very straightforward
think-
trade.
yeah,
Yeah, I think he's actually he was having a pretty good season with the Caps, I think. So, and yeah, like you
Yeah.
said, they're familiar with him. So I like the pickup for them.
I like Johansson as a journeyman guy that's been with a few teams, like in particular, that know him really well.
Yeah, the new Lee Stepniak.
That's a good. I like that. The Sandin trade. I think we talked about that enough.
The Caps win that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Caps.
The Engvall trade. The Shen trade. I'm just going through, right, trying to make sure we didn't miss anything. Jay and I, we talked about the Gus trade.
Gus Nyquist.
Yeah.
Minnesota wins
Yeah.
that. They get a guy for playoffs.
I hope Gus
yeah, if he's
is able
healthy
to
for the
play.
playoffs. Yeah, it's a good pickup if he's healthy, but we'll see.
Oh, this one.
Jordan. Yeah.
This one. Avalanche get Lars Eller from the Capitals for a second round pick in 25.
I like the return for Washington, but I like the fit for the Avs with Lars Eller. He'll
Oh,
hope
yeah.
what they want to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think they
That's-
both come out
that's a
pretty good in
win-win.
that trade.
That's a win-win right there. Hurricanes get Gostisbehere from the Coyotes for, a third round in 26.
Canes. I can't believe it was only a third.
Yeah, and especially
Carolina as
a third, like all the way down that line.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I thought Gostisbehere was gonna get a little bit more than that. Like
I thought he was going to
solid offensive
stay.
guy. Yeah, I was
I
a
thought it-
little surprised too. I thought that they might have been able to work out an extension with him. He was playing well with them.
Hmm.
Arizona signing people as if they can afford anyone.
As if they could, yeah. Okay, Jay,
Okay.
this one might make you cry.
Mm-hmm.
The Kings acquire draft rights to Eric Portillo from the Sabres in exchange for a third rounder in 23.
I
You
like
lose
this
one of
for
your
the
guys.
Sabres because it sounds to me like Eric Portillo is not going to sign.
I mean, you did
Yeah, he
lose a
wasn't
guy
going
that
to.
you really
Yeah.
like.
So I like it for
Yeah,
for both sides. Like the Sabres get something out of it, and I think the Kings. Like you want to talk about like if you're a goaltender going to sign with a team to
Mhm.
start your career. Like right now, LA's got to be at the top of the list because their
Well,
goaltending
yeah.
situation is just a mess.
It's so up in the
Yeah.
air, and it's like, okay, I want to try to be the guy
Yeah,
now.
because like
Right.
next
Yeah.
year,
I don't
who
even
are
think
they
they
gonna
really
under
have any good
contract?
prospects.
It's like they got Matthew Peralta, they've got Cal Peterson, and
Copley
Yeah,
is
I mean,
there, and I
they-
mean, like,
they
Jonas
re-signed
is he
could
Copley.
signed
stay.
next year?
I don't know, but
Yeah,
like
he is.
Jonas
They
could.
signed him to an extension.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, gotcha. Okay, so Copley's in there too.
Yeah.
But
And
like
then
that's
Yo-
a good
Yeah,
situation for Eric Portillo to come into.
And Corpy being a rental, who knows? He could stay. I don't know.
Yeah, like that's the
Yeah, I
thing.
could
It's
see
like,
him
it's
staying if he
unknown.
does well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss Corpy. God damn it.
All right, so
He was really good
Jordan
this season.
Greenway is
Yeah, that's the one
wondering.
I wanted to mention.
Oh,
Yeah.
Greenway, yeah.
Yeah, I like that bet for Buffalo, so I'll take them.
I like it for Buffalo too. I
What
know
was the
his
full trade?
offensive
I missed
metrics
that.
were bad the last couple of years, but if you look back to previous coaching when he first started his career, it was good, and he has experience. He's worked with Don Granato in the past. They seem to have
Yeah.
an idea of what they wanted to do. So they gave up the worst of their second round pick. They have 3 second round picks this
Okay.
year.
All
So
right.
they're giving up the worst one to the Wild, and I think they're also giving it a 5th.
Yeah, something like it was another mid-round pick, either a 4th or 5th. I don't remember.
That's fine.
So I like that a lot. And I like it for Minnesota too, just from the perspective of they deal away Greenway and then bring in Sundqvist, which I do think is a downgrade. But what it does is it takes away future cap. So obviously they're going to
Mhm.
be in cap hell soon with the buyouts. So you get out in front of it early so you don't have to pay more down the line to get rid of a contract.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it was a good trade for both sides, and I like the upside bet with Buffalo. Like they get someone who's under team control for a little bit. They didn't just go out and get like a rental that could kind of help them. And they've had success with big forwards, big tall forwards who have underachieved. So
Yeah.
maybe this is the next one for them.
Vegas gets our boy Teddy Bluger from Pittsburgh for
Yeah.
defenseman Philip DeLabortor, and a third rounder in 24. Vegas
Love it
wins.
for Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, Vegas. Yep.
That's really just because we love Teddy Bluger.
I love Teddy Bluger.
God, he's so
Yeah,
great.
he's a really good defensive forward. Yeah, it's a really good depth pickup, like one of the better fourth line players in the league.
Jay, where's he from? Where's he from again?
He's from Riga, Latvia.
Yeah.
Is he Latvian? I thought he was Slovakian or
No,
Slovak.
he's from Riga, Latvia.
No, Latvia's got some interesting prospects coming up in the next couple of drafts.
They
So
do. They do.
yeah,
When we talk about growing the game and how cool it is, like seeing like some of these countries overseas, like specifically the last couple of decades, like Switzerland's gotten more NHL talent, and now all of them play for the Devils. Like, it's kinda cool.
yeah,
Denmark,
They basically
Latvia.
have half the. Yeah, Norway's got some interesting prospects in like the 2024 draft too. I think they're getting promoted for the WJC.
Love
Next
it.
time they're going to be in the next WJC, so that would be cool.
Yeah.
Love that. Sharks get Vlad Nemestikov from the Lightning in exchange for Michael Eismont.
So Icemont's like a guy who's got like small sample size, but he's got like ridiculous underlying numbers. So I like
it's
this
kinda
move
crazy.
for the Lightning, and then I like it for the Sharks too because Lightning retained half the salary, so it makes it easier for the Sharks to flip
Mhm.
Nemesnikov, and they ended up getting a 4th-round pick for him. So I think all parties
from
are
Winnipeg,
happy.
right?
Yep.
Did he go to Winnipeg when Nemestikov? Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah, I agree with that. All parties are happy on that trade. So win for both sides.
Yeah. And then the Coyotes taking on Voracek's contract for John Gillies.
That's a
then
win for the Blue Jackets.
We also got the 6th rounder in 23.
We give up a 6th-round pick. We get rid of the Voracek contract, and in case anything happens, we have the perfect tank goalie in John Gillies.
Yep. I would attest to that. Gillies was instrumental in the Devils getting the 2nd pick last year.
There you go. Blackhawks get Anders Bjork from the Sabres for future considerations. Blackhawks get a body. Meh.
Yeah, I mean, if
Yeah,
the
it's like
Blackhawks get a
yeah.
body. The Sabres did need Anders Bjork after they got Jordan Greenway. So
Right. Oilers get Bugstad from the Coyotes for Michael Kesselring, a 3rd. Yeah, and a 3rd.
So 2 things.
Yeah.
1, I love this trade for the Oilers. I think Bukestad works perfectly in their bottom 6. 2, Jay Fresh's tweet was hilarious about Michael Kesselring.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. What did he tweet about?
So he tweeted like, you know how like he does his like player analysis where it's like, oh, this player acquired by blank is, and then
He's
he goes,
played
like,
more NHL games than you.
He did Michael Kesselring, but like he always like includes a photo of like the player card. But for Michael Kesselring, he put a photo of Phil Kessel's Stanley Cup ring.
With the Kessel ring? Oh, I love it. That's
Kessel
great.
ring.
Oh, that's funny.
That's
I didn't
great.
see that. That's good.
Yeah, that was good. I laughed my ass off at that.
Ducks get
I didn't
Dylan
see that, damn
Sakura.
it.
Sorry, Ducks get Dylan
that's
Sakura.
a minor deal, like 2 AHL players swapping.
That's fine. This is a fun one. Dallas gets Domi and Dylan Wells from the Blackhawks for Khudobin and a 2nd-round pick in 25. Basically, Khudobin's cap space.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it for Dallas. Just Domi's defensive game is absolutely might be worse than Patrick Kane.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's terrible, but he's a really fast guy, good playmaker. I think he'll fit in Dallas.
I think he'll fit with Jamie.
Yeah.
So I think Dallas has the players to be able to hide it a little bit. And you think about it, like this is a guy, I know that they did bring in, what's his name after they traded away Guryanov. They got him from the Canadians, Dadanov. But like Domi is the real replacement for Guryanov in that specific role. So I think that's a really good fit for Dallas.
Yes. This is a fun one.
I like it for Dallas.
This is a fun one. The Blues get Jake Vrana from the Red Wings for Dylan McLaughlin and a 7th in 25.
really fun. Dylan McLaughlin played for 4 years at Canisius College.
There you go. Hey,
Oh, look
little
at that.
alumni.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
My God, I can't
Fellow
believe one of my
Canisius
own
alum.
got traded for Jake Verana.
Yeah,
This
hey,
is the
now,
biggest Canisius trade since Corey Conacher was traded for Ben Bishop.
now he's got a story to tell.
Yeah, so I like it for the Blues because
Jake Verana's great.
because you're getting a guy at half retained, but like I mean I don't know what was going on with Jake Verana. We're not going to speculate, but
No.
essentially we're going to get through the rest of this year. He's going to have time to adjust, get back into NHL shape, get back into the pace of it. So really, it's a 1-year buy for next year for a 7th round pick for a guy who's a really good goal scorer. I really love. I love it for the Blues, but I understand it for the Red Wings too.
Yeah, the thing is with the Blues too is like they don't have an appetite for a long drawn out rebuild to this, so they're trying. That's why they take Kasperi Kapanen on waivers and they try to buy low on someone like Vrana. So I like it for them too.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, you get those two guys essentially for free. A 7th round pick for Kasperi Kapanen and Jake Verana. Look at me, GM of the year.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Devils getting Lazar from the Canucks for a 4th rounder in 24. I like that for you guys.
I love Curtis Lazar. Good defensive metrics, but a guy who's really good at faceoffs, who can play center, he can play the wing, very versatile.
Yeah, and he's a great locker room guy apparently too. And yeah, he's got a little term. I think 2 years after this one at $1 million. So like, the Devils don't re-sign Bastion and Miles Wood after this season. They're both, I think Bastion's a restricted free agent and Wood's an unrestricted free agent. So if they don't re-sign either of those guys or one of them, they have a little bit of insurance with Lazar moving forward.
You still got Curtis. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Philly gets Brendan Lemieux and a 5th rounder in 24 from LA for Zach McEwen. That's a fun
trade. Zach McEwen, who has very little value, for a 5th round pick and Tony DeAngelo's friend.
Yeah, that's kind of
that's right.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah,
they made this trade so they can re-up the podcast those two did with the Rangers.
Hey, Philly can now add some bite with Brendan Lemieux.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I actually like it for the Flyers. I like it for the Flyers just because of the storylines. It doesn't really do anything for them on the ice, but you could get some good storylines from this.
I like this move for the Flyers because the one thing that team needed to do was get tougher.
Yeah,
one thing they Nick Delorier and Brandon Lemieux on the same line.
That'll be
Street
fun.
Bullies are back.
That'll be really, really fun.
This is what they needed to do to get back up on top, along with not trading JVR.
John Tortorella with friggin' Brendan Lemieux and wow, that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be super fun.
Yeah.
LA gets Nate Schnarr from the Canadiens for Frederick Allard.
That's former New Jersey Devil.
Nate Schnarr, former Devil. Yeah, former Devils prospect.
Yeah.
Didn't even know he got dealt, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, now you know.
Let me tell you, my analysis. That is a trade that happened.
That is a trade that happened.
Yeah.
The Bonino trade, Bonino going to Pittsburgh from the Sharks. 3-team trade with the Habs. San Jose got Arvid Henriksen, a conditional 5th, and a 7th. Canadians get Tony Sund and a 5th. So it's like, I don't know.
I don't think anybody won this trade.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh,
it's just
I guess.
Whatever for all 3 teams.
I nothing against Nick Bonino.
Because they get the player.
Nick Bonino doesn't solve the problems that the Penguins have. So
no,
I don't think any.
It's just another player. Yeah, it's just another player in his mid-30s that somehow ended up on the Pittsburgh Penguins.
It's
just you know why? Because you got to bring back nostalgia, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Jets getting Nemesnikov from the Sharks for 4th. Yep, we talked about that. Chase Prisky for Austin Strand.
That is another trade that
happened. Another trade that happened. Calgary getting Dryden Hunt from the Leafs for Radim Zohorna. Those are at least some names we know.
Love Zohorna.
Yeah, Zohorna's always actually played well when he's been in the NHL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Dryden Hunt is interesting. He'll shore up Calgary's bottom 6 a little bit. I think he's more of a Daryl Sutter kind of player.
Exactly.
Yeah, just kind of like a bit of a meh trade too.
It's just like fine. Sabres got Greenway from the Wild for a 2nd and 23 and a 5th and 24. That's great. We talked about that a second ago, right? We're fine with that. Wild get Oscar Sundqvist from the Wings in exchange for a 4th round pick in 23.
I didn't like that trade. Yeah, I didn't like that trade for the Wild. I give it to the Red Wings. Sundqvist doesn't really offer that much.
I don't think he offers much, but he's depth. He'll play in the bottom 6, and like the only reason I like it is because it's an expiring contract.
He dropped a lot from when he was with the Blues because he was really, really good with the Blues when they won the Cup, and after that, it was just kind of like, all right.
Yeah,
like
Kulikov trade I like for the Ducks. A 3rd and McGinn for Kulikov. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah, that'll be nice for the Ducks, and then the Pens get another defenseman that's kind of like whatever.
Rasmus Asplund to the Predators for a 7th.
That's nice. That's nice.
I like that. Yeah, I like that for the Preds. Asplund's defensive numbers are fantastic.
They're insane.
Yeah. So and Buffalo didn't really have a place for him anymore. So I like that trade for the Preds.
Yeah, you go out and you get your Tanner Jeannot replacement.
Yeah, there you go. Blackhawks get Wagner from the Kings for future considerations.
Meh.
And we fine.
God, future considerations are getting passed around from team to team.
This guy, I wonder how many jersey numbers future considerations has worn over the years.
Yeah, let me tell you, more than Yager.
Yeah.
Rangers get Wyatt Kalynuk from the Canucks in exchange for futures. So Rangers shoring up their depth a little bit with Kalynuk. Pretty nice.
That's about it, right?
That covers everything.
Yeah.
Wow. And we did this in like less than 2 hours. I'm impressed.
Hell yeah.
I didn't even notice what time it was. Yeah, that was pretty good.
So yeah, I want to thank Alex for coming to join us again. It's good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, great
thanks
to
for
see
having
you.
me on.
Great to talk
It's
to you,
been a
Alex.
while. Yeah.
Where can they find you?
Good seeing you guys.
Where can people find you?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at AlexC_THW. I write for the Hockey Writers and then for Infernal Access, which is the Devils Substack run by Todd Cordell.
And then you've also been on a few podcasts recently, right? A few other podcasts.
Yeah, I was on Neil's podcast like either a week or two before the trade deadline. And yes, Devil State of Mind podcast. So I was on there. I got my own podcast called Devils on the Rush.
Devils on the Rush. That's what I was thinking of. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I do on a weekly basis. I'm not sure when I'm going to be recording because my co-host is on vacation right now, but probably on Monday. So you can check us out. We're on Apple and Spotify if you're interested in some more Devils content. Yeah.
Awesome. So y'all Devils fans, go check out Alex's stuff, and obviously come check out our stuff. This was episode 99, a trade deadline special. And we have...
It was a good one.
Yeah, it was great.
It was the great one.
It was the great one. Now, I will say this just to end it. Go ask us questions on our Twitter, DM us, do whatever, because we're doing a special AMA for episode 100 coming up. So go send us questions, people.
Yes.
And we'll see
you. Get ready to rumble.
Yeah. Century Mark's coming up, people. We'll see you then.
Jake Jackets, a podcast for fifth liners and all puckheads around. Follow the guys on Twitter at Snake Gehringer, GARRINGER, and at by J Ashdown. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen. March on.